Imagine the perfect blend of modern design and timeless simplicity, crafted from concrete into a sleek shape. Today we're transforming this unique vessel into two stunning creations. A glowing candle centerpiece and a bold fire feature that'll light up any outdoor space. Let's dive in. Welcome back to Timber West Design, where we talk about timber shade structures and outdoor living. First, let's talk about the design. This sleek shape is not just visually stunning, it's also versatile and functional. We'll start by crafting a concrete candle that brings warmth and elegance to any table. Then we'll take it up a notch with the fire feature that's perfect for creating a cozy outdoor vibe. I'll guide you through the process step by step, from pouring the molds to the final finishes. Let's bring these ideas to life. Here are the supplies we're going to need for this project. We'll need some Cementol cement mix, a bucket to mix it in, this bowl for the water. It's a 4-to-1 ratio that we need to mix that, and you're going to need a scale to measure that ratio. You're going to need a method to mix it. We're going to need a mold. Here's the 3D printed mold. We're going to need a can. We'll need some primer, some flat black paint, some high heat paint, and then I'm going to do two vessels, so I'm going to do two different colors. These are the two top coat finishes I'm going to use. I also need some sandpaper, some spot putty. For the fuel, we'll use some bioethanol fuel on one, and on the other one we're going to use this soy wax. The website candlewick.com supplied the candle supplies for this. We'll need a wick, need a vessel to melt the wax in, and I think we're ready to go. So here's the vessel we're going to make. Little vase looking shape. We're going to make the top mold. Then we're going to make the bottom mold. We're going to pour it on this side through this opening, and I think we're ready to send it to the printer. Watching the 3D printer in action is always fascinating. It layers the design with incredible precision, turning a digital concept into a physical object. This process ensures our mold is accurate and durable, ready to handle the weight and texture of the concrete. So the molds are hot off the press from the 3D printer. Before we put these together, we want to put some mold release on them. So I have a box I like to spray them in to kind of contain the spray. I use this canola oil, and it's just a very light spray. Just cover the surface, but not too much. And then the next one, this one's a little trickier because we get this deep pocket, but just try to get in there as best as you can. Now let's put the molds together. So I'm just going to take some 1/4-inch bolts, line everything up, and I'll put our washers and nuts on, and then we're going to get ready to pour. So I'm just going to snug these up, nothing too tight. You can crush the PLA plastic that this is made out of, and it doesn't need to be tight, just snug it. I've got the cement ready to go, I've got the water ready to go. So to calculate the volume and to know how much cement you're going to need, I mean, if you're in the CAD system, obviously you can just calculate the volume with the software. If you don't know that, and you just want to, if you have a mold and need to know how much volume, put water in the mold, weigh it, see how many grams that water weighs, times that by 1.9, and that's going to give you how many grams of Cementol you're going to need. So in this case, it was about 3,000 grams of water, 1.9, 5,700 grams of Cementol, and then about 20 to 25% of that for the water, so about 12 to 1,300 grams of water. This is way more than I want to mix in my shop because it just gets too dusty, and that's a dangerous thing to breathe. So we're going to take it outside, mix it, we'll be back in to pour it. So I don't like to pour all of the water in at once, maybe 3/4 of it. We're going to go more by consistency than by the actual ratio that they say. And I want it about pancake batter consistency, so we're going to use this drill mixer, and this is quite a bit of cement, so we got to really make sure this is mixed well. Get all the sides, get that bottom really well. Okay, we're getting all the lumps out, getting the consistency I want. Let's pour this thing. I'm just going to pour this in slowly. Oh, I trapped too much air. And we just want to go right to the brim. Looks like we've got just barely enough. Okay, so I can kind of tap this, gets the air out, kind of levels off that bottom as well. I'm just going to scrape a little bit more out of that bucket. All right, looking good. It'll be about 3 hours and we'll demold this thing and we'll see how it looks. Are you struggling to get a good night's sleep? NuCalm is here to help. It's a breakthrough system that's designed to calm your mind and get your body ready for a deep, restful sleep. I use it every night. I put on this blackout mask with these built-in speakers, put it on, and go off into La La Land. I like to use the deepest sleep, the best sleep ever. Click the button, get ready for a great night's sleep. Sleep better, live better. Discover NuCalm today. It's been a few hours, it's ready to pull. So when you got a mass of concrete like this, it heats up. That's called an exothermic reaction. So it's just the process of the chemical reaction between the concrete and the water. And it gets pretty warm, you can feel it. This has cooled off. So once it's cooled off, if it's warm, I really want to wait until it probably cools off to get a decent cure. Really, concrete cures over many weeks, up to 30 days it can still be curing. But for our purposes, a few hours is plenty to pull out of a mold. So we're just going to take these bolts off. I've got all the bolts off. It's time to separate the two molds. So I got a parting line here. I'm just going to put a screwdriver in. Oh, this pops right off. Here's one half. I kind of like to wipe this because there's still mold release on here. So kind of get this cleaned up. Now we got to get this other half off. This is going to be a little trickier. I'm just going to tap the flange with this mallet. There we go. It's off. And we have us apart. Looks good. So there's still moisture in here. So I'm gonna let this dry out. You want to give it probably a day or two before you prime it. So we'll give it some time to let the water evaporate out, and then it's going to be time to sand off some of the imperfections in the parting lines and get it ready for priming. So I've got the first coat of primer on here. A lot of times there's some flaws that the primer itself does not fill, so you need to use some Bondo spot putty or an equivalent. What I like to do is to take a glove, squeeze a little on the finger, and then just kind of smear it into the defects. And then we're going to come back, we're going to sand that. I'll sand it with 150 grit sandpaper, and then I'll most likely do one more primer coat. The second primer coat's really going to depend on how nice of a finish you're going to do. If you're going to do a textured paint, you could probably get away with just sanding this and doing the textured paint. If you want a really sweet gloss or semi-gloss type of job, you're going to have to probably do a second primer. And we'll get to that point and I'll show you the next step. We've got our second coat on here. It's ready for what we call a guide coat. So I take some flat black paint and we just fog it on here very lightly, and I'll show you what that's going to do in a minute. So what this black guide coat gives us is when we sand it, the low spots stay dark, which is really cool because then you see exactly where any flaws might be. And so your choices are you keep sanding until that low spot's out, or you maybe add some filler to that, or maybe it's just not big enough to worry about. But that's the purpose of the guide coat. So we've finished painting these two. I really like these surfaces. I ended up with this texture, this light one here, and then I used the matte black paint on here. These two look really good. So what we're gonna do, I've got two vessels. We gotta do two different things with them. One, I've got this can, just a food can, emptied it out, ate the food, painted it with some high heat Rust-Oleum paint, mainly the inside where you're gonna see it. We're gonna just drop that in here. I'll show you the rest of that in a minute. On this one, we're gonna turn it into a candle. So I've got the wick. We're gonna just put a little bit of hot glue on that, drop that down the middle, and I've got this little wick holder. We'll put this in place here, hold the wick in the middle. So I've got my soy wax all measured out and ready to go. We're gonna put it on the stove top in a pot of water so it'll act like a double boiler. We're going to slowly melt this and we're going to pour it into the vessel. So we put this wax melting vessel in pot of water, so it acts like a double boiler. And we want to get this all melted, and it's just about there. So we'll give it a couple more minutes. We'll be ready to go. We're about to the point now, if you want to add a fragrance, this is where you would do it. In this case, I'm not going to. So we want to get this to 155 degrees. It's all melted. Let's pour this thing. Just the right amount. So when you go to one of these candle supply places, they usually calculate this by the ounces of the vessel. In this case, I didn't know how many ounces it was, so there's a formula. You fill it full of water, weigh that water, times that by 0.834, and that lets you know how many grams of wax you need. The candle wax is set up. It's time to remove the little holder. That's perfectly in the middle. Now we trim the wick about 3/8 to 1/2 of an inch, just like that. There we go. Looks pretty. I like that look. Those colors look really nice together. So on a candle, you're supposed to let the wax cure, depending on the type of wax you use, from a few days to a couple of weeks. On this vessel, we're going to put the can in here. We're going to take our bioethanol fuel, pour it in, and let's light them both. Nice soothing candle. This is going to be a little more of a flame. It takes a second to get going. This is probably a better use for an outside flame. You could do this inside, but you just want to make sure you don't leave it unattended. They're both awesome. I love them both. If you like these projects, you want to see more, please like, share, and subscribe, and we'll see you next time.